Terence Crawford's victory over Canelo Alvarez did more than add another win to his record. It reopened a debate that has been circling around boxing for years. How does Crawford's greatness measure up to that of Floyd Mayweather? The reactions from fighters, trainers, analysts, and commentators painted a complete picture of how significant the moment was. Each voice added a layer of detail, and together they tell a story about not just one fight, but the state of boxing legacies and how the sport views its greatest athletes.
As with boxing, when it's at the elite stage, you can't play games
without necessarily striving to win. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I told you. It's WWE. Okay? This is WWE, like I told you.
It's crazy for multiple reasons. One, they have a huge size difference. Tank Davis, he's a lightweight, normally fights at 135 pounds. And Jake Paul, he's a cruiserweight, usually fights at 200.
Canelo Alvarez himself was the first to give an honest assessment. After losing to Crawford, Canelo admitted that his opponent was the better fighter on the night and gave him full credit. He acknowledged Crawford's skill and timing, praising him as an amazing fighter who deserved respect for what he had accomplished across weight classes. More importantly, Canelo compared the situations between himself and Mayweather. When he fought Mayweather years earlier, he was only 23, still developing and far from the polished fighter he later became. By the time Crawford faced him, he was already the face of boxing, more experienced, more skilled, and fully established as one of the sport's best.
I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather. We already know, we knew Crawford is a great fighter, and I did what I supposed to do, right? I tried for every way, and I trained really hard, and he deserved all the credit. No, I try my best tonight, and I just cannot figure out the style.
Was it something specific, the movement or his speed or power, or what? Was there something you could put your finger on that gave you the most trouble?
Everything.
Okay.
He have everything. You know what? Sometimes you try and your body cannot go, right? That's my frustration. Maybe I can figure out Crawford, but my body cannot go anymore. So I try it, but my body just not let me go. And you need to accept it. That's it. He's a great fighter. He's a good fighter. He know how to move. And
Raj Hackett built on that point by analyzing the contrast between Canelo's fights against Mayweather and Crawford. Hackett noted that Canelo had been inexperienced when he lost to Mayweather, while Crawford faced him after he had reached his peak. That difference in timing, Hackett argued, makes Crawford's achievement more significant. In his eyes, Crawford's victory came against a more complete version of Canelo, not the young and less refined version who lost to Mayweather.
What I think is, when Floyd beat me, I was 23, I wasn't polished. When Bud beat me, I was the man. I was the man. And he beat me fair and square. He beat me at my game and he beat me at his game. That's why Canelo said that. Do I believe that? It's tough to believe. We're not going to ever see Bud versus Floyd. And it's crazy. It's crazy because I would love to see that fight, but I know we're not going to see it. But I can only take Canelo's word because he's the man that's been in the ring with both of them. But I understand why he said it. I was a kid when I fought Floyd. He wasn't a kid literally, but he was young. He was young. There was a lot he didn't know. There was a lot he didn't understand about boxing that he later on learned and got better. But Bud beat the better version of me, even though it's the ran down version. I'm saying that because it is some wear and tear there with Canelo. I've been saying it the whole time. When a guy got almost 70 fights in current time, with all those big camps he's been doing and all that, trust me, it's some wear and tear there. I'm not making excuses for Canelo. I'm just saying. I do give Bud his credit though for beating Canelo, and Canelo understands I am a better fighter today than I was back then. But that's hard to say because Floyd, you know what I'm saying? I feel like Bud took maybe 20% of what Floyd did and added that to his repertoire for this fight. So that's why I'm saying it's tough to say.
Joe Rogan was almost in disbelief when he described what he had witnessed. For Rogan, the fact that Crawford moved up 2 entire weight classes at the age of 37 and still managed to defeat a fighter of Canelo's caliber was staggering. He said it was one of those moments in sports history where you know you're watching something extraordinary, something that shouldn't even be possible. Rogan highlighted that no fighter at such an advanced stage of their career had ever pulled off a feat like this. He called Crawford an anomaly, an outlier in the sport, someone who could defy the natural limitations of age and weight.
You're watching, like, wow, towards the end, towards the final rounds, really started getting comfortable and really started putting it on him. I'm like, this is amazing.
You know, one of those rare, like, that's history, obviously, right? Watching somebody do, you shouldn't be able to do that. You shouldn't be able to fight at that weight for the first time ever.
Against one of the greatest
greatest of all time, fucking, and do what you did. It is beyond, like, my favorite, an outlier. You're beyond an outlier. You're an anomaly.
Yeah, something special. And
something really special.
I believe he's 37.
Yeah, one of those where you shouldn't be able to do that by any account. By any account. 37, my body was so wrecked. I'm like, fuck you. You know, I could barely go bowl.
Paulie Malignaggi approached the debate from a different angle. He didn't try to settle the question of who was greater between Mayweather and Crawford because, in his view, those debates are never truly resolvable. Instead, Malignaggi stressed that these comparisons are what make boxing exciting, sparking conversations among fans and analysts that can go on endlessly. He pointed out that Mayweather's legacy rests on his flawless record and his ability to consistently beat champions across multiple weight divisions, while Crawford's case comes from his dominance across different classes and his victories over elite opponents.
4-pounders and it was in a young Canelo and a very tough Cotto who was punching very hard from 4 to 54. You know, remember Cotto had knocked out Delvin Rodriguez at 54. He'd still done some damage at 54, and I thought
won a title at 60.
Yeah, and I thought he knocked out Martinez at 60, and I thought he gave Mayweather a pretty good fight at 54. I don't know. I can't say I disagree or agree. I just think that Mayweather, because it's so far away, so long ago, you know, and people sort of start to underestimate the things he did. You know, people talk about Canelo takes his repertoire from the Mayweather repertoire. No, he doesn't. Mayweather fought ex-champions. This guy's fighting guys who will never even smell, may never smell a belt in their life, and he was fighting them. So. You know, Mayweather, even if you're saying, he didn't fight the very best, he still fought champions and ex-champions, even at 47, even at 54.
Timothy Bradley, however, did not hesitate to make a bold claim. Bradley stated outright that Terence Crawford has everything it takes to beat Floyd Mayweather, even if both were in their prime. Bradley explained that Crawford's mix of intelligence, adaptability, timing, and power would present problems that Mayweather had never solved before. He reminded people that Floyd had struggled in the early rounds against Zab Judah, who was an excellent fighter but not on the level of Crawford. Bradley emphasized that Crawford's ability to switch stances, counterpunch with precision, and use his reach effectively would give him the tools to overcome Mayweather's defensive brilliance.
Oh, absolutely. But Terence Crawford will whoop his ass. He would beat Floyd Mayweather. I'm telling you right now, he will beat Floyd Mayweather too. He will beat him too. He got everything it takes to beat Floyd. Floyd struggled in the first half against Zab Judah. Zab Judah, a damn terrific fighter. Terrific fighter, but he ain't no damn Terence Crawford. Especially from the southpaw position. Floyd didn't like fighting southpaws. Floyd reached with that right hand. You think he's gonna reach against one of the best back foot counterpunchers in the game? He gonna reach with that right hand against Crawford? He gonna get slept reaching with that backhand. The way he reaches with that. That level change backhand he throws too. Man, that pull jab he does too, that ain't gonna work. That is not gonna work. Floyd got a 72-inch reach. Yeah, he had quickness, fast reflexes. However, Crawford got all of that too. He got all of that too. And he got a 75-inch reach. Great counterpuncher. Can concentrate all night. Can put pressure on Floyd. He can even invite Floyd in. Yep, I noticed. Floyd's not having success. He started to step on the gas. That's what he do. and he gonna run into problems with Crawford because
Some in the boxing world took the discussion further by suggesting that Crawford must do even more to surpass Mayweather's legacy. Analysts argued that a fight against Dimitri Bivol, a larger and technically skilled light heavyweight, could elevate Crawford's standing beyond Mayweather. They explained that if Crawford could defeat Bivol, who has beaten Canelo and Artur Beterbiev, it would show that he could conquer opponents of greater size and skill than anyone Mayweather ever faced. Such a victory, they argued, would not only cement Crawford's legacy, but also establish him as the superior fighter historically.
Bud next, since Bud's so strong. That's what I said. Why you talking about 54? None of them dudes gonna get you up. If you truly beat Canelo, why not be the greatest fighter in the existence of boxing? Like, Bivol was the only dude to beat 2 undisputed active champions. Like, he beat Canelo as an undisputed champion, and he beat Beterbiev as an undisputed champion. Bivol historically might go down as one of the greatest to ever do it. If you beat Bivol and you beat Canelo, I mean, Crawford might have surpassed TBE in Floyd. Floyd has never beaten someone as accomplished as Bivol. And forget about accomplishments like perceived threat. Who's Bivol on Floyd's resume?
Crawford himself has expressed ambitions that align with these conversations. Reports indicated that he is aiming to become a 6th division world champion, a feat only a handful of fighters have ever achieved. Moving into the middleweight division at 160 pounds, Crawford is already being targeted by top fighters like Janibek Alimkhanuly, who has called him out directly. For Crawford, taking on middleweight champions would mean proving himself against naturally bigger men once again, a path that would solidify his pursuit of boxing immortality.
And Terence Crawford and his team stated that if he does stay in the sport of boxing and he does move down, he's not going to drop down below 160. And so it's being reported that Terence Crawford wants to become a 6th division champion. And a guy that he had his sights set on is now calling him out aggressively and daring him to come down and fight him. And that's Janibek, who is seen to be the best 160-pounder in the world, and he's the unified IBF and WBO 160 middleweight world champion. The middleweight division, 160, is a glamour division. There's the top 3 glamour divisions in the sport of boxing is welterweight, 147. Terence Crawford knocked out every opponent he faced at welterweight and became undisputed. Faced at welterweight and became undisputed there. The next glamour division is middleweight, 160, that Marvin Hagler, made famous, many middleweights, Sugar Ray Robinson. It's a glamour division, right? Sugar Ray Leonard moved up there, Tommy Hearns, that's a glamour division. And obviously, the division that carries the sport of boxing when it's on top is the heavyweight division. Then you can make a case for the lightweight division, so on and so forth, right? I would say the lightweight division is number 4. So Terence Crawford became a champion at lightweight, right? So with that said, you have Janibek, who's seen as the best fighter there. He's the IBF WBO.
Crawford's trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, gave his perspective on the victory over Canelo and on Crawford's career as a whole. He described the fight as an easy night for Crawford because of how well prepared they were for every situation. McIntyre also addressed the frequent criticism that Crawford ducks opponents, dismissing it as unfair. He argued that Crawford is not avoiding fighters, but simply choosing his own path instead of following public demands. McIntyre said that critics want to control Crawford's career by suggesting certain opponents, but Crawford has always pursued the challenges he believes are right for him.
People are probably thinking the way we were all thinking, that just because of the weight he should be okay because he's the naturally bigger man. But someone like Crawford, obviously, who's done what he's done, you have to be on the top of your game. And I felt with Canelo, it was probably too many single shots that he was throwing, but he wasn't throwing the usual singles and backing it up because he was getting counted. And
he wasn't allowed to.
Yeah, it wasn't just that Canelo was bad is what I'm trying to get at. Crawford was absolutely sensational on the night and the deserved winner and one of the best.
Because the other side of the argument would be that they actually thought they might be getting Crawford at the right time because he hadn't fought for a while and had some particular surgery. I mean, did it go, as I said to you at the top of the show, Bomac, I mean, I watched you in the corner and I thought it was a exercise in how a corner should be conducted in terms of the communication, the coherency of it, and the discipline behind who spoke, when they spoke, what they said, and what needed to be heard. Did the fight go exactly as you had mapped out in your mind and what you thought would manifest itself? Is this your last fight? Which really annoyed me with Max Kellerman going in and making that the stop part of his questions. Do you think, Bomac, that he gets the recognition and the appreciation that his achievements merit?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Why do you think that is?
I think because of the simple fact that Terence is his own man. You know, he knows the path that he wants to go. And some of the boxing critics or some of the boxing people around boxing figure he should go this route or he should go that route. When he didn't go that route and he went this route, or he's ducking the other middleweights. I mean, the other welterweight. So he's ducking the 140 pounder. No, he's not ducking them. He's just not available. Well, he should have went this way. I didn't want to go that way. I wanted to go this way because that's the way I wanted to go.
Jeffries, a former fighter and analyst, reminded fans not to overlook Mayweather's brilliance when comparing him to Crawford. Jeffries highlighted Floyd's defensive skills, but especially his footwork, which he called flawless. He explained how Mayweather's ability to pivot, reset, and control distance made him nearly impossible to hit cleanly. Jeffries noted that Floyd never wasted movements in the ring, always using subtle adjustments to stay in control. He also reminded people that Mayweather's career included wins over multiple legends and champions, cementing his place as one of boxing's most decorated fighters.
But if you study Floyd closely, like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in the ring. He will pivot just enough to take away the angle from the person in front of him, then he will reset in the center of the ring, and his movement and his footwork was just perfect. And it was his feet that made him control every single fight, putting him in the perfect position to defend punches, then that small little sidestep either way to put him into the position to be able to land punches back. And he would also use his front foot to apply pressure with them small little steps, waiting for that moment to land them punches. And if you train boxing, you should be constantly working on the specific footwork things that you need to work on, because you might agree with me, but without good feet, nothing else.
Reactions from past opponents and analysts also added more nuance. Miguel "Silky Smooth" Gonzalez, the last man to defeat Crawford back in the amateurs, reflected on what it takes to beat him. He explained that fighters need to counterpunch with him, attack the body, and stay aggressive in close range. Gonzalez recalled that in Crawford's earlier days, he could be baited into fighting an opponent's style, but over time, Crawford grew out of that habit and learned to control fights on his own terms.
To actually get a win over him.
I agree with Augie. With what he said about Floyd, I'm going to say about Crawford. You got to punch with Crawford. You got to counter Crawford and punch with Crawford. You got to bang the body with Crawford. You got to stay on top of Crawford. You know what I mean? Fight him in that phone booth if you can. I mean, as I remember, that's exactly what I did. You know, Crawford, he switches and all that. I don't get that. I don't get out my hookup with all the switching he does. But what tripped me out was he got low in the ring. Like, he kind of like cut his height down. I had a field day with that. He should have stayed tall. You know, he cut his height down, and you know, I stayed in his chest. You know, and you gotta counter Crawford. You gotta fight Crawford. And what I always thought about Crawford was he's easily taken out his hookup. I thought, you know, maybe he fought his fight. I thought he fought my fight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he grew out of getting out of his hookup. I think
because,
I think he learned how to just kind of adjust and do what needed to be done more so.
Break that down for us, guys. What do you guys mean the hookup? Break that down for us.
So yeah, you know what?
Getting caught up in a war?
I'll go ahead, Miguel. Like break down Bud getting caught out of his hookup.
Well, you know, with Bud, I thought, you know, but you can easily get Bud to fight you.
Back in the day. Yeah.
And you know, Gamboa, you know, showed parts of that. You know, and Bud, all his fights, Bud fights you.
Yeah.
Bud gets, you know what I mean? Every fight I see Bud fighting, even still to this day, but I totally understand what Sean's saying. For sure. Bud's the truth. But when I see Bud fighting, you catch him, he want to catch you back. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You fighting Bud, Bud's not running from nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where I felt that I had the upper hand in our country.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who was one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who is 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. Stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up and he never accepted the fight. And so with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford. And they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bo Mack yesterday did an interview and Bo Mack said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez,